And we all appreciate it. And it's going to be a really exciting game. I can see all 4 players are in the lobby now.
Yes. Just a few more seconds for XCrash, and then we will be able to start. So we have Ashton, who's playing or spamming a lot of YOLO in ranked games. In Legion Enhanced League, he never did so. So he's likely to go for some vanilla stuff like Greed again.
I think XCrash bullying him into playing safe. Like, XCrash maybe a bit more risk-averse than Ashton is, and he's just saying, look, we want to win, there's money on the line, can you just pick Greed, please? And then Ashton's like, fine, I wanted to pick YOLO, but, you know, if it's that important to you, XCrash, I'll Greed.
Yeah. I actually would even say that XCrash is like the most passive player in tournaments of all of the 8 players we still have today. Like, he's always playing so slow. He's usually going for the longest stage.
Safe. I mean, but if you give him, he's one of those players where if you kind of give him an inch, he'll take a mile. So, like, if you income send once too often to XCrash, he will just go insane on workers.
Yeah, but this is mainly like happening within the mid game. Like the first 9 waves, he's never really gonna go for some greedy pushes like you would see from Ashton, who's sometimes like 8 workers on 4 or whatever.
But I think you're right though. I think his kind of style is to just play kind of safe and steady and wait for the enemy to make a mistake, and then as soon as the enemy makes a mistake, he'll like pounce on you and capitalize. The problem is the Banana Boys, they don't make too many mistakes.
Yeah, they usually don't. Sometimes you have this game where one of them is kind of a bit feedy, but this happens to everyone because they are really trying to be greedy, a lot more greedy than most other teams, at least.
But anyway, guys, without any further ado, the filler is over. It's game time. Let's get into game number 1, Banana Boys versus XCrash.
Nice. We can already see, at least it's one of my favorite openers because it's very aggressive. We have Widderson having Aqua, Cat, and the Hawk in his role.
Oh, that's insane.
Especially the Cat and Hawk is a very nice opener.
I think Nekomata and Windhawk is just an absolutely insane pair for the early game. Like, you just don't really have weak waves for the first 9 waves. It's crazy with 2 units.
If you have Polly on top, it's actually crazy. Like Polly as a tier 1 unit, this is just a nuts roll, 3 units, gonna give you such a strong early game.
Well, he has the Firelord as well, right? Which obviously it's not an early game unit, so it doesn't kind of fill in those gaps. But for late game, it's insane.
I mean, overall, he's lacking a bit of the tanks you would look for. He does have the Buckler. Or the Anglers, which he's actually taking. In this case, and he's not going for the Nekomata, which I'm really surprised about. Yeah,
I really would have liked him to take the Neko. I think it's such a good pair. But I guess he just wants to take the Anglers for his pierce damage, and then obviously the Gargoyle there for the Arcane tank. So I can see why, but it still wouldn't have been my choice.
And especially like the Widderson and Adams, the Banana Boys, they have way similar roles than you would like usually. You have the Nightmares, the Phoenix, and some decent stuff in between, nothing too spectacular. I fear this could be a problem for them moving towards mid and late game.
Yeah, I can see that. How do you feel about the spells? Because we do have 2 very aggressive spells and only 1 kind of middling defensive spell there with the Protector.
I do really like those spells because this will force players to play a little bit more aggressive starting after wave 10. The only thing I fear is, since usually most early games at the moment are quite passive, you sometimes have those longer saves, but with the buff of the King HP this got nerfed obviously. So you might not have enough workers to go for this overworked play, so it's likely going to be either press the attack for an 11th Sen or probably just going for this Protector to play it safe. That's what I fear.
And to be fair, like, Widderson can be okay on 11, obviously with Big Kingpin, with Violet, but Adams is looking pretty weak on 11, unless he rerolls into something good. XCrash obviously looking very strong there with the Azaria. Ashton also has Azaria in his role as well, so both XCrash and Ashton can be good on 11. I would be more worried for Widderson and Adams if there's going to be some big, like, press the attack 11 cent.
We didn't talk about XCrash and Ashton sense right now, so maybe I'm just really out of the current meta because I didn't play too much lately, but the rules of Exot and Ashton, they don't look amazing either. Like Ashton not having tanks besides the buckler, and Xcot somehow missing the damage, I fear.
Yeah.
Like, he has the Asaria and the Coiler, but the synergy between Asaria and Coiler is not as great as with Coiler and other units.
Oh, but look at this. X-God was already on 6 workers, now receiving a Dragon Turtle. Is that enough to leak the Asaria Peewee, or is it just a free hold?
No. I think an Asaria even holds 40 without a tier 1 in the split, but I'm unsure about that.
What was she healing? It's a hold, right? Wow. So X-God and Ashton now both on 7 workers. Meanwhile, Widderson on 5, Adam's on 6. Ashton does a small leak, which is... He's happy with this. He's really happy with this. Yeah, they have a good worker lead. They get long waves. Yeah. This is perfect for XCrash.
Leading by 3 workers, getting this extra time for them. This is so juicy. The only problem Exo will now face, he's only able to build a buckler and the Peewee, which is obviously not a lot. But since there's no recent coming, who cares?
And meanwhile, Widderson has been forced to upgrade his Bounty Hunter here with only 52 stacks, so the small angler died a bit too quickly on wave 2 and 3, didn't get the stacks he needed. So that's going to cost him.
Especially like 52 stacks is so little if you think about the fact that the angler just got buffed, getting now 2 stacks for each minion or each creep dying around it.
Yeah,
like it's actually rough.
If your angler stays alive for the first 3 waves, it always has 75 stacks.
Yeah. Always.
So it's pretty crazy. Like, you can just speed run that 150 stack Kingpin by starting with an angler. It's pretty nice.
That's true. I don't know if it's that nice. I'm still not a fan of Kingpin nowadays. It's just...
a bit slow?
I think we did... Well, it's slow on one hand, and on the other hand, it's like just giving wrong information with the value shown. So you usually think you're a lot stronger than you actually are.
Oh, sure.
So I always feel trapped a bit playing Kingpin.
Fair enough. But look, we've got some big sends coming in here. We've got the Imps on 5 from XGod.
Oh, that's something
into
new
Adams.
from XGod.
But Adams, he has 3 Oathbreakers. Like, I think he can just be fine here.
If he's not sniping an Imp, he probably leaks because Imps on 5 are just insane. And the Oathbreakers, especially the one in the split and the one in front of the Nightmare, they will die immediately.
Yeah.
So they won't make any use of their passive, not really at least. So I think he's still leaking.
Oh, he is? Yeah, you're right. But meanwhile, over here, there was a really nice play from Ashton that we didn't really mention. He actually shifted big on wave 4 to get this Priestess out for wave 5, which gives him a free hold against the Hermit Snail from Adams. That's such a good play there from Ashton. Yeah.
Oh, look at the leak! It's insane.
So like, Adams with 3 Oathbreakers, leaking 60%. That's way more than I expected.
Crazy. And Widderson not even able to clear, even though he didn't receive a send. So, he received the snail, alright. But
now that the King's been hitting the gym, you know, he's a bit stronger than he used to be. He can take it.
He can take it. Now, soon looking like Widderson. Not quite yet. Not quite yet.
Well, but Ashton's actually starving Widderson out a little bit. He's still on 7 workers, while Ashton has 9. And Widderson's forced to keep his value really high here. Now, Ashton, if he goes for something like 3 brutes on 7, I think Widderson might be in quite a lot of trouble. Even with his value being super high. Like, he's on value here, but on wave 7 he just has no damage.
Yeah, he has to build a Nightmare. No matter what, he has to add the Nightmare in 7, right? Even if Widderson got a send now, he probably had to add the Nightmare for 7. Like, this is such a rough spot for him, because he did choose to not take the Nikomata, but the Nightmare. So he will be forced to place the Sniper for 7, and then for 8 he's still not looking great.
So let's see then, is Ashton going to go for triple brute here on 7, or do you think he's just going to go for an income send? Meanwhile, actually, XGod leaking with 600 value here. Leaking big as well, 61% there to an income send.
He was going for the Serpent, and I mentioned it before, Serpent in this area is just not a great combo you would like to play for, because they both rely on additional tanks you will add. So the Serpent in my eyes a bit too early placed, but he probably just didn't want to go for a veteran for those 90 gold, which I can think of a valid thought. Not going for.
And Ashton, he does go for the income send after all, so that's the answer to that question.
Ashton Drake.
Yeah.
If you get a Drake on 7, it is from Ashton. It's always like this.
I mean, that's 160 Mythium right there. It could have been a Mimic, it could have been, you know, he even gets the 20, so it could have been 3 Brutes. Yeah. But he's just going for the income. It is Ashton Butcher after all.
What I think about is Ashton now going for the income send, right? Yeah. But is he actually thinking to league Widderson with it? Because this last snail ad is something I usually am angry about myself afterwards, because you could just invest it to the king, right? But you only send the snail if you really think you're gonna league your opponent.
I mean, to be fair, if he didn't have the nightmare, he probably would leak the income send, because the rest of his units are so weak.
He probably will still leak the Drake, right? The knife is getting sniped.
I don't know if a bounty hunter wins a 1v1 with a Drake. I guess we're about to find out. It looks like it does.
Yeah, it looks like it does.
Meanwhile, over in Adam's lane, that is going to be a hold as well. So both Banana Boys holding their sends here. And XCrash actually, oh no, look at the focus there, 15% on the Brute.
But it's still like fine, right? Ashton has been in the worker lead for...
And now he's on 12. Look at his income as well, actually.
Yeah, it's just Ashton, right? He's scaling with income. Even though he's saved 2 waves, he's ahead in income, he's ahead in workers. He's taking those income sends. It's just Ashton.
He goes for the resend here. And Widderson, with his 80 gold, is he going to build 2 more gargoyles, or is he shifting the Kingpin?
Where do you see 80 gold?
Oh, he actually pushed. Widderson had 87 gold. He's actually pushed 1 more worker.
Okay. I wouldn't already.
He might pay for that here if Ashton goes for a full send.
Resend, yeah. Maybe. I'm pretty sure he's adding a dragon turtle, right?
You gonna add? He does. He has the lizard. Okay. Well, this could be a leak here on Widderson. Like, I know he has the nightmare, but that Dino's going to wrap around now and tank the damage. He's still killing actually quite a lot of the way.
Violet getting spell number 2. Okay.
Oh, number 2. That's big.
Violet. Yeah, that's a leak, and not too small. Like 40%, I would guess.
Yeah. Gonna kill the lizard now, but he won't kill anything else after that. Oh wow! He actually attacks the low HP one.
Yeah,
I thought for sure it was going to go for the high one, but okay, that's a very small leak then 100%. From Widderson.
Yeah. If I played here, it was the one with the most HP for sure.
Oh yeah, if this was me, like my Violet's going to die before it gets the second spell off. I'm going to get the worst focus known to man, and I'm probably leaking about 60%, so the same send with the same build. But that's why they call me the unluckiest man alive.
You could just spin around and not attack anyone.
Yeah. But Widderson now going astronomical with his workers. He's on 14 here.
This is such a good play, by the way. Like we talked about Kingpin being like super slow, super soft, but with this Violet on top of the bounty hunter, so usually you will see now, okay, he got to send an 8, he likely won't upgrade the bounty now because he wants to get more stacks and push.
Yep.
So
you go for a resend.
A resend would be fine, but with the Violet, and especially the Violet very close to the wall, so it's likely to get 2 spells out, Widder's quite safe against the normal resend, and so getting more stacks, getting a lot of workers on top, so I think he's in a really nice spot now.
And meanwhile, in Adam's lane, he did get that Fire Lord out that we talked about earlier. It's tanking perfectly, so it's low mana, dealing insane damage against the wave. It's just a free hold for Mr. Adams against the income send there from XCrash. And they have to be scared now, right? Because look at the Mythium on the Banana Boys. Oh, this is a big wave 10 send coming out.
It is a big wave 10. Oh, Widderson almost going for a non-income Ghost Knight. I think he just barely got it out. Well, we did talk about very upcoming aggression, right, on 11 and 12 due to the spells, but we didn't even mention the possibility of a 10 aggression, especially with 2 players going for Priestess.
This is massive as well. Like, so Widderson, he didn't know that XCrash has Millennium in his role, and XCrash just places it here. He's receiving a Ghost Knight. He's going to be a pretty sad Mr. XCrash when he sees that Ghost Knight enter his lane.
Yeah, it will be. I mean, an ogre, in case the Ghost Knight doesn't go out in income, would have been perfectly as well.
But this is going to take him so long to kill the Ghost Knight.
Circle's going to get sniped soon.
The boosted Veteran is nice, so there's actually some damage against it, and it does die. But this is going to be a boss leaking on very high HP. Meanwhile,
but look at Ashton. He's likely even going to hold. The send against Ashton wasn't that big of a threat. He's adding 3 Dragon Turtles.
Yeah,
but the elite archers are just fine to snipe them.
Nice. Meanwhile,
It's
X
not
scored
too bad.
69%. That's pretty nice for the Banana Boys. The Dams does leak very, very small with a boss on 1% HP, which of course Widderson will clear. But Ashton's not covering this at all in the mid. Like, this is going to be a decent bit of king damage.
It is 100%, but they have a bit more king HP. They already have the 2 heals that Ashton usually does in wave 1, at least one of them. But the thing is now, Ashton seems pretty fine in game, and he does have the reroll, he does have the boars now, so he's not playing for the Asteria anymore to let tank, I assume. At least he won't do that later. And he does have the boar doomsday combo.
And X got going for some egg play as well. This is risky though, because he doesn't have the priestess. If there was any kind of resend here, I'd say for sure he's losing that egg.
Going for the egg sack into 2 offensive spells is like very ballsy, I have to say.
I think
especially with the value he does have. This is crazy.
That's what I'm saying. Like, even with no send here, there's a chance that he loses that egg. Like, the priestess is basically his only damage unit on this wave, and it can definitely just get sniped out early because it doesn't have the strength that an Azaria does.
Why is he only adding PBs?
Nothing else he can add. He only had 70 gold.
Oh, he rerolled the bucklers. I didn't see that. He rerolled as well.
Okay, the priestess is living, so that should be enough for him to hold here. But the Banana Boys didn't send any income, so there can be a big send on wave 12.
Yeah, it can be, and I actually think the play that Widderson and Dams are going for is like very nice. They know both opponents have the priestess, they're really weak on 12, and especially now with Ixos going for the X-Hack, I really don't understand it, right? Sure, he wants to scale, he doesn't really have a lot of tanks beside it, but this is just the wrong spot to go for it, I fear.
I think X-God's going to leak. He's going to leak massively, yeah. Like, he's 110 below value, but he also has an egg, so he's actually like 400 under value pretty much, which is kind of a dangerous spot to be in, and he is receiving another Ghost Knight. We saw how much damage that did on wave 10 against him. I think X-God might be in a spot of trouble now.
Well, he might even have to force his egg to tank with like boosting TVs here and here to pull down the wave and let the tank die.
I mean, Ashton I think has a chance to hold here, but X-God I'm not too confident that he's holding.
Oh, and by the way, he mispositioned one of the Wanderers, right? I think his Azaria might tank not enough in some cases.
She needs to heal. She needs to heal. Okay, there goes the heal.
On this wave it's fine, but on wave 13 with this Wanderer, she might actually not tank enough.
She's dead now. Okay, so he will leak, but it's not as bad as it could have been.
Yeah.
Ashton, of course, is holding with his pretty high 2.1k value.
Yeah.
But
Ashton's really stepping up now, right? He does not quite have the most workers, but he does have by far the most value, plus the same workers as Widderson.
He's also way ahead in terms of income. Like, he's already 30 income ahead of Widderson, while having like an extra 50 Mythium on top. So I think Ashton's in a solid spot here.
He is in a very solid spot, and on top of this, Axel does have the axe. I think he's a bit too far behind to now play for axe and like come back like this, I fear. But in the very end, there might be the chance of him suiciding sometime because Ashton's just so fat.
Well, he'll
I think
need
this
to.
Is actually an option for him.
He's going to need to, because X-God's actually way behind the other players. Like, his value's high, of course, because of the egg play, but just look at his workers. He's on 11 versus 23 on Widders and 20 on Dams. Like, he's going to need to start pressing that button.
He's actually now in a spot where I'm always unsure if it's actually worth it for him to go for this X-Sack and really try to come back, or if he actually just should try to keep up with the workers, to keep up pressure against the Damas, because right now he's giving up pressure and he's behind and has to sacrifice everything just to maybe come back, or to maybe come back to a spot where he might be decent in some waves.
Ashton's Azaria just surviving the left side of the wave there.
Yeah.
Alright, so
meanwhile, we
like...
actually had rerolls on Widder as well, rolling for the Antler, obviously Antler Gates.
Oh, nice.
What a juicy roll to
Antler
go
Gates
for.
With Protector as well, to get the extra value out of those gates there.
Especially look at the Antler position. How greedy is this? You already can see out of this. Okay, I'm playing for 20.
That's
I'm playing
so
for 19.
greedy. Like, you just make a white main here, no? Okay, he wants his Ocean Templar there. That's understandable. That's understandable. But look at the worker count now. With Adams is just, he knows exactly how to play against this exact play from XGod. He's just going to push the workers. Like Adams' value is super, super low. He doesn't care. He knows that XGod doesn't have any workers. So he's just going to abuse that here.
He pushed before. He did push now on against the second egg, but he now shifts, especially even though he's quite weak on 14 with the Phoenix only. But now he's shifting some gold to just be more flexible to whatever wave they want to play for or want to defend themselves. Because Ashton, 500 million. This is going to be a big send.
Here it comes. Oh. Okay. So XGod, he can only afford a witch because, of course, with his 11 workers, he's quite far behind everybody else in terms of Mythium. Ashton has quite a lot, though. So that's a Shaman, that's 2 Fiends. He'll have a bit more to send after income as well.
This is such a good play.
This is dangerous.
Sure, you do have Adams with the Phoenix and the Ocean Templar.
But his value is so low.
There's not a lot to back it up.
Yeah.
The send is quite large. I'm unsure about the Witch. I don't really agree on the Witch.
It was the only thing that XGod could afford, right? Like he
I
probably
just want to say I didn't see how much he had.
Yeah.
But yeah, Witch is not the best because XGod is just so far behind. But with only 200, it's probably the best you can go for.
Yeah.
But apart from this, their values aren't shining. Like Widderson, 3.1k value, receiving 600.
This Phoenix is dying very quickly. It's full tanking the wave. It's gone. That was all of Adam's value. There goes his hopes of holding here. Yeah, this is going to be a big, big leak on Adams. So let's check in with Widderson.
And now the thing is, even if this is not killing them, which is maybe even doing so, I think this is actually lethal because there's 2 bosses, there's a Shaman. This might be lethal.
Both bosses on pretty much full HP as well.
Even if it's not, Widderson's 600 cent won't matter because they can just full King up. Ashton is just fat as hell. I think that was just a massive misplay by them not going for the cent here.
I would agree.
Well, I mean, I can understand they thought they're strong enough, especially Adams with the Phoenix, right? But since the Phoenix just got sniped...
I mean, Adams is strong on the wave, but he just has no value to back it up. Oh, it's over! That was so close, but GG! XGod and Ashton taking game number 1.
Damn, what a performance by Ashton. Like, he really carried this hard.
He absolutely did. He absolutely... And I was praising Adams there for playing correctly against the eggs in pushing hard his workers, but you know, if he pushed 1 or 2 less, he'd have been able to hold there on wave 15. Yes,
I think so. And one thing I have to just praise Ashton a bit more in this game, because you mentioned it on wave 4, but we never really talked about it too much. This shift on wave 4, getting out the Assyria on 5, was so just big. The play, carrying and winning him the game, I would even say, because he's 7 workers on 4, shifting with massive undervalue, just hoping for a new reason to be there. Then boom, Assyria, and after he receives a cent here, even receiving a Hermit, so Adamas really tried to break him. He's going 9 workers, and from then on, I think he's never leaking anymore.
He's just snowballing,
quite long saves on him. This is so massive.
He holds the 240 send there on 10, which was really big. He holds the 12 send and covers everything in the mid as well. And yeah, you're right. He's just Ashton absolutely putting this game on his back. And I have to say, like, I was a bit worried for the side there because XGod seemed to be quite far behind with his egg play and low workers, but the Banana Boys, like, they just didn't have the value there on wave 15, despite having like really solid builds. I have to say, like Phoenix, Ocean Templar with Badgers as well to tank the wave. Like Adams' build is perfect for 15. Widderson has Gargoyle spam and Ocean Templar himself, but they just didn't have the value to hold that size send.
Well, Widderson is somehow missing the value, right? You do have the skate, but it's summoning very slow, and then you don't really have a lot to back it up. And the other damage units he does have is basically the Kingpin, that's about it. While Adams, he does have this Monster Phoenix getting the buff from the Ocean Templar. I think it had the Protector buff as well, and the Leviathan, but it's just not enough. It
tanked too soon, it just tanked like the entire wave. Pretty much straight away, and then as soon as that Phoenix died, you know, that's game over for Adams.
It is. Like, I think they really trusted on this Phoenix. Like, even this shift, right? This all implies for they want to receive this 15 cent.
Yeah.
Because Adams is gonna have more value than you might assume.
Yeah.
And then he's just going for this surprise hold with the Phoenix being close to an Ocean Templar. If I remember right, he never showed the Growl before, so there was a lot of value helping him to be strong on 15. He had the Badgers, he placed on 14, at least one he did, and then adding this Ocean Templar on 15. They really wanted to get the Send on 15, Adamas to clutch hold it, and then to just win with their next Send.
Yeah. You have to say, very well played there by XCrash, going for that undercut, and even with the low workers on XGod, it was just enough to get the lethal there on 15. They were at 95% HP, like, one or two king attacks, and they probably would have lived, but yeah.
I think it was, or maybe even an AoE, because it was immolation, so the spell's ticking all the time. Maybe if they're just able to go for this one or two more AoEs, they might be in a decent spot.
Yeah, that was it was super, super close. And I think the Banana Boys probably just overestimated their strength there on wave 15. Like they thought they were better off than they were. Maybe they didn't expect the size of the send coming in from Ashton, like the 600 Mythium. He presses hard. The worker button, like Ashton.
He does.
He knows where the U button is.
Yeah, some players don't these days, but Ashton he definitely knows. I think there's Ashton has two buttons. The on maybe 3 Alt F4 because this game crashes so often, frequent, and the other one is the U button. And then he just has to check the auto send for the Drakes on 7, and that's about it.
Absolutely, dude, absolutely. But really well played, those guys. So now we do have a 1-0 advantage on the side of XCOD and Ashton Butcher. Bonnie, what do you think about game 2? Are we going to get a 3-game series? I hope so. I want to see the Banana Boys. Right.
In my personal perspective, I think Banana Boys have been the favorite team going into this, especially since XCOD is not performing too great on the ladder at the moment, and Widderson is top 10 for the entire season already. Adam is obviously coming back from a long break, but I think usually they should be the favorite team here, so I think they're now gonna play a bit more concentrated. They are gonna step it up a bit and maybe playing for some more early game oriented sense, what they actually like to do. Especially Widderson likes to do some stuff like this for a longer save in the early game sometime. So I think we will expect to see something like this.
Alright, well, I would love to see a game 3 as well, so hopefully the Banana Boys can come back swinging in this game number 2. And ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, let's get into the game.
We do, and we do have this time a lot more of a passive spell choice, right? We do have all 3 scaling spells. You either go for the investment to get some extra gold, you have the villain, which is the large creep killer, wave 13, wave 18, you don't stand a chance, or 20 especially, and then you do have the protector, which we just saw last game, probably the weakest out of those 3 spells at the moment, unless you have gates.
Yeah, I think Protector on Gates can be pretty insane, but it's also amazing on like a Lifesteal Doppel or the Sovereign, which we do see in Ashton's role. I think you can't really underestimate Protector. And speaking of Gates, Widderson does have them again in his role today. So
he does.
So let's see.
Overall, again, what is Widderson's game going to be? Like it's going to be something like Gate Guard Nikomata, a strong early game choice, maybe with Rats, very good at. Gate Guard Rats into Nikomata, so he's can double red on one end on 2.
I mean, he could also go for 2 Anglers and a Seraphim, which I've been reliably informed is the best opener in the game.
I always thought it's like your flower performance.
He does go for the Angler, but not the Seraphim. He's starting Bounty Hunter. I am not a fan. I am not a fan.
I think Bounty Hunter for sure is one of the weakest openers at the moment in the most games, especially against XCOD, because you will know XCOD is going to go for longer saves in the early game.
XCOD got snailed here, by the way, and he did go for a Windhawk opener. He's playing Rats as well.
Ashton. This is crazy. Why don't you snake Ashton? If you snake one of those, you snake Ashton, don't you? Maybe Adamas forgot.
XCOD getting punished. A new weaker Windhawk actually leaks 1 more creep now, so that's a 75% leak on XCOD. And it's a double punish for him, because not only is he on the Windhawk, he's also playing Rats. So the long wave is obviously bad for the treasure hunt there.
And Adamas with the 5 workers immediately, he's really in his element. He can push some. I don't know what he's up to build. Like, is he going for the 3 or 4 Bone Warriors? He doesn't really have anything in his role.
So XGod is going to go for a double snail here, I guess. With the 2 workers, he won't get a 60 out.
Actually, by the way, has the rule we mentioned before. Windhawk Cat, very strong opener.
Yeah.
Really good to go for. I don't like Widderson's opener. I'm sorry. Like, he had such a nice potential with his skate.
I really don't like it either. I think it's such a slow opener there with the double anglers.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a fan.
Like, I think anglers are a bit overvalued in the early game at the moment. Like, later on they're fine, but I personally like kingpins as tanks. That's about it, because they have quite nice HP per gold. But
look at this aggro sharing on Ashton. But actually, he probably would have liked his pack rat to take some. So
yeah,
he'd get a 40 here. I think he's going to be fine. He does have very high value.
Yeah.
He stayed 4 workers for this.
I mean, this positioning looks very interesting, though, right? If you would see this and post it in the Discord, you would probably assume this is like some very low elo positioning, not meaning this negative, because you usually place your, especially Oathbreaker, different, more towards the wall to get less aggro, but it's just working out perfectly for him.
Yeah. Now, XGod does get a 60 send out here against the Dams. And the Dragon Turtle, I think, will go into the Fire Archer here, so it'll be interesting to see whether we get a leak or not. He is very, very high value.
He is very high value, but you mentioned it correctly, right? The Dragon Turtle is going to go to the Fire Archer, and the Fire Archer will not be able to kill it.
But only 3 hoppers, though. I think the Fire Archer can withstand this.
No. I think the Dragon... Oh, let's see.
Yeah?
Damn, what play? I think the extra Bone Warriors he did add towards the middle of his lane, they actually pulled enough aggro to the left to make
that's a perfect hold there from Adams. How's XGod doing? Ashton did hold, and he was only 230 value. He got double snail, so pretty solid performance there. And XGod the same, so he holds a double snail too.
I'm a 7 worker. Holy shit! What?
Wow.
This is crazy. Like, this is
hard.
actually insane. This is so good for him. I mean, he does have this wave 5 still. Maybe he's going for the Berserker there, because I don't think the Coiler is going to help him too much. But 7 workers here, this is so intense. Especially with XCrash, his counterpart, being on 3 still.
Well, don't count Ashton just yet, because he has only 6 workers, but he has been treasure hunting like every wave apart from wave 2 so far.
And here, by the way, we mentioned before, the first 3 waves, Angler getting not attacked, easy, full stacks.
But there's the problem though, he's already capped on stacks, and obviously he wanted to push workers here rather than upgrade to the Bounty Hunter, so he is going to lose out on a little bit of potential, but it's not too bad.
But I think he can just upgrade it now, boost the Infiltrator, so he will have the Angler tank for the Infiltrator in most cases. Maybe that helps out. I think you kind of have to upgrade it, right? Because you want those stacks. You don't want to miss on them. After wave 7, you want to be at least at like 110.
But Ashton's saying he doesn't care about the stacks. He just wants to go for the Pilgrim, and you can't really blame him because it's incredible on wave 5.
Yeah. I think he's going for the Pilgrim, so he can treasure hunt.
Dams did go for the Coiler here rather than the Berserker. He's only receiving income from XGod, so he's going to be just fine, I think. And there's a double snail against Widderson, who I think he should be okay as well. But actually, all of his units are bad on this wave.
Widderson, by the way, is still saving. He already got the 85, and this is something I said before the game. I think he's now going for some longer saves.
Yeah.
And looking at XCrash, it might be like a 7 or 8 even. And probably Dam is now saving the rest to go with Widder for some later save. I would assume, especially with this worker leader Dam's had, right? They probably agreed on, okay, you're gonna go for another send here, and I'm just gonna go straight because I'm still 5 workers.
Yep.
So I think that's fine for them.
Meanwhile, Ashton up on 8 workers and treasure hunting, so he's starting to be in a pretty good position. But Widderson really applying that pressure onto XGod, who is 3 workers, by the way.
Never mind. That's about it. Pressure is gone. It's only an income sent into a Windhawk, right? And look at XGod. He is so sure. Oh, maybe not.
I would like to see
it might be a shift for the Millennium now.
Okay, that makes sense. But the send comes here.
I don't like it. Like, go for the double stack and then treasure hunt 1. Nice. That's what I like. You want those reds to be treasured.
He's scared.
No, we can't send 3 workers.
I guess he just has to push workers really hard now. And we do see that. So as soon as he sees the send, he starts to push the worker button.
Yeah. Now he basically has to full push and then maybe invest the last second to the cat to full second and then double treasure hunt to go maximum greedy. At least that is a position a lot of other players would do now.
Well, this is a win for the Banana Boys, by the way, because they forced XGod away from his treasure hunt. He is in a bit of an awkward position where he stayed super low workers, doesn't get the treasure hunt value, and of course he holds here. And meanwhile, Widderson is leaking to the income send from Ashton, but only one creep. So
Ashton, look at Ashton. This guy is mental. Going 11 workers pre-wave 7.
And he's getting a full send here from Adams.
This is really crazy. Now he can just upgrade the Angler, I hope, to get some extra stacks on wave 7, because you can get up to 20 stacks plus all the mercenaries. He does still have some gold left.
He's finally rewarded that Angler with the upgrade. Oh, but he changes his mind. Okay, he goes back for it again. He's taunting the casters. But this is very weak on wave 7. Very weak on wave 7. And he is getting a full send from Adams.
Oh wow, XCrash even not pushing as aggressive, right? He's still on 5 workers. And this is something
at least
we
now he's using his treasure hunt though.
We have Ashton now being a lot more of this heavy aggressive push in the early game, and we see XCrash playing it a lot safer, right? This is maybe like their team setup, right? You leave Ashton do your Ashton thing, he's just gonna free push this worker button, one of the 3 buttons he does have on the keyboard, and while that happens, XCrash is just gonna relax a bit, play a bit more passively, play a bit safer.
I mean, it makes sense, right? Oh, that's a decent leak there, 45% on Ashton. It's not the end of the world, especially when he has such a big worker lead. And meanwhile, XGod is loving the long waves. He's at 160 Mythium already. He does have those hunted rats. When do you think he wants to send?
Now.
There's them all.
It's just, I mean, you do have the Coiler against you, which is very weak against the mole, especially if your opponent does not really have damage to kill the mole, which, at least if you look at the board, is not there. Maybe with the Berserker there will be something. And then you do have on top of this Widderson, who is going to be strong on 9, adding a Kingpin. So you probably go for the best send together, which is Ashton now going for an income send against bounties. They're not too great here. And then you try to weaken Adamus with the mole, maybe even break him.
So Widderson, actually, he could have made a Kingpin here on wave 8 with over 100 stacks. But he actually went for a gate instead, which is
I think they both predicted 9, right? We have Adamus adding 2 Wanderers, so they full build for 9, right? Adamus only having the Coiler.
I think they're going to pay for this, though. Soon. They're going to pay for this. Like, Widderson should leak. Although, actually, his split is so insane. So, Widderson's holding, actually.
Hey, look at Adamus Coiler. Just didn't get aggroed. I don't know how this happened. Because usually the Coiler should die very early.
Wow, it's just a full hold on both of them.
Yeah, this is crazy.
And Ashton leaks to the double lizard as well. So, okay, we'll chalk that one up as a win for the Banana Boys.
So the thing is, up until now, Ashton was for sure in the driver's seat and for sure looking insane on this game. But now, XCrash is still behind in workers, right? He's behind in value. And we do have the banana, or maybe now around equal on value. But now we have Banana Boys, they're pushing in workers, and they're now both going 14 workers, and now they're in the lead because this send was just this huge blunder.
Yeah, and any time that XCOD is bullied off of his treasure hunt is a win for the Banana Boys. So he's already low workers. Any time that he plays scared, like we saw on wave 6, any time that he's forced away from that treasure hunt is a win for Widderson and Adams.
And even with the treasure hunt, right, there's one thing that is very crucial. If you build rats, the rats are around positive if a wave takes less than 70 seconds. I think it's like 73 seconds around that time. So especially when there's leaks or there's very long waves, the rats are getting worse and worse and worse, and the worker is going to produce Mythium even if you're getting sent and you don't have to overbuild. And with rats, you just don't treasure them. So every time you mention it, XCrash is not able to push them, and there's going to be long waves. XCrash is just going to lack a little bit of Mythium production due to the rats.
But Widderson, actually, with his hard worker push, he's going to leak the no send here. This is so good for Widderson.
Like, look at his Mythium. It's going to be 300 something on 10.
I mean, he can easily send Ghost Knight plus like 2 brutes or something, which is just going to be absolutely devastating for XGod.
This league is perfect.
There's the Ghost
Early
Knight.
game leagues, when you're in the worker lead and you don't give shutdown, are almost always like 100% hardcore worth it for you.
And Widderson, he's only just about to hit his stride here because he hasn't got the kingpins yet until now. So he's only going to get stronger and stronger as this game goes on. Now, this is an enormous send. It's 360 against XCOD. I'm sure we'll see the second brute joining the first. And even Ashton is getting a pretty big send to deal with from Adams as well. It's going to be Pack, Brute, Snail. I'm kind of worried for these guys.
Now there's one huge problem. XCOD once again, he has a Millennium on 10 and getting the Ghost Knight. And the problem is this time he showed the Millennium before. So the Ghost Knight was a safe bet for him. He only had the cat as...
He's not going to kill it. He's not going to kill anything. This is going to be a massive leak for XCOD.
Look at Ashton again. He's having the Kingpin right. He's having a backup archer, so he's at least
Ashton's holding.
his part of the lane.
That's big. But look at this. 122% on XCOD.
That's crazy.
Wow. And Ashton's not going to be able to cover any of this.
Well, he's likely to get a Ghost Knight, which is fine. It's a lot of gold for them.
But look at this, though. And this time they don't have any king attacks, so this is a decent chunk of damage here. But more to the point, XCOD is just falling further and further behind in this game.
But we have to mention that the same happened last time, and Ashton is still leading a lot in income. Look at this. He didn't take a spell yet, and he's ahead 50 income. This is a worker each wave. He can just push an extra worker each wave, plus having 22 workers.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. But what we have to get now is we have to see big leaks on the Banana Boys. Especially because Ashton has actually sent a non-income mercenary for the first time in his life. He's actually sent a 4 Eyes here. So,
wait, what? Does he even know what this is?
I think he must have misclicked the Drake. Like, he wanted to click Drake twice.
Oh, double Drake,
Yeah, but he accidentally sent the 4 Eyes. So we need to see a leak here, but Widderson's on 1800 value with the villain on his Nightmare.
Yeah, but Adamus is very confident, not going for the Protector, which would be like the safest choice for him likely, but going for the investment. He knows, or he feels like they won't die here, and this way they're just going to go for it, not even going for incomes, king ups.
Even
right?
with the investment though, even with the investment, Adams is still 50 income behind Ashton. That's pretty insane.
Yeah, and then on top of this, like he's only getting income here, so they can now push. Once again, and since Adamus and Widderson, they didn't waste anything in Income King.
Yeah, but look at this. They're both just holding, and this was a full send from Ashton. Like he actually went with the 4 Eyes.
Yeah, Edgar not even trying, so that's fine. Adamus holding, but Widderson obviously he received the 4 Eye, but with a full gate, right? You have a lot of power. You have the villain, which is a massive source of damage as well for any wave following now.
Well, here comes the counter send though, and these are big sends. We've got Pack Leader Hermit from Widderson, we've got Ogre Snail, and I assume that will be a brute to join that from Adams.
Yeah.
Ashton, like obviously very strong on this wave, but he kind of needs to. Okay, he's going with the Chieftain here.
One thing I ask myself, and maybe he's
double hunting though. He doesn't expect it here. This might catch them by surprise.
Yeah. Maybe.
Oh, look at that. Adams was late on the dino there. Didn't get it out in time.
I mean, it's only 220 against Ashton, right? He does have his Kingpin, he does have the villain.
It should have been 300 though. Adams was a little bit slow on that dino.
Yeah. And
that's a hold then for Ashton.
Is using the Sea Dragons, which I really like, but I think he already does have a few too much. Like 3 Sea Dragons, but he doesn't have a lot of targets to go for. Especially no high health targets.
Ashton?
What?
Oh, look at that. Literally the luckiest man alive.
This is crazy. Okay, so you do have now a few chances. Either you try to get XCOD a bit more back to the game because he is quite cut off, and you try to maybe play for a shutdown. Widderson is on right now. Maybe Adam is going. Adam is going on shutdown now as well. And you try to play for late game because you do have this villain. But you have to be aware of the fact that Ashton and XCOD, they don't really have this much scaling in their roles, right? While Widderson at least has the gates, which is quite powerful late game.
Yeah.
So maybe you want to finish rather early than late. And
I could see them going for a 15 send because from what we see on the board at the moment, like sure, Adams has Iron Scales, but everything else is looking like really weak on 15 so far. Adams does have that Pocket Priestess, which could come out as a surprises area for a big hold on 15. But other than that, I think they're both looking pretty weak here on 15.
Will we just see the same again, right? Low king ups on Widderson and Damis, receiving a huge send this time. Even Ashton's send's gonna be a lot bigger.
Yep.
Already on close to 500. Maybe.
They have to go 15 though, right? They can't 14 against this with the villain doppelganger and the double kingpin on Widderson. Surely not.
Well, the thing is, you will have X-God. Yeah, he might have to sell a bit for the Doomsday, but he's gonna be okay on this wave, even though he's undervalued, but he does have the Doomsday, so overall, hopefully not leaking too much with the Sea Dragon heal.
Yeah, nobody sends.
Yeah, Ashton hasn't been too great on this wave though. Like, he does have a lot of value in units you don't really want to have on the wave.
Yeah, true. Ashton obviously needs to have that Phoenix on 15. I'm just worried that it will tank too much like Adams did in the previous game.
I mean, it's getting the buff from the Chieftain at least.
Oh,
that's
okay.
already
That's
1.3k extra. 1.5k actually. Extra health. So that's at least a bit.
But XCOD is not holding 15. There is absolutely no way. I wouldn't be surprised if he just pushes, honestly.
No. And Adamis, he does add 2 more Betchers, and he still does have this surprise Seria, in case he wants to go for it. Right? So
it has to be a 15 cent. It has to be. Like, Widderson has insane value. He's already over 3,000 here on wave 14. This has to be a 4-player send on 15.
More units, right? There's no arcane unit he does have. There's no unit with the perfect damage. Like, okay, there's a gates that have some magic damage, but it's still not the perfect setup we saw last game, right? He did have the gates as his best unit for the wave, or maybe the gargoyles, Green Devils.
Yep.
That's about it.
Well, here it comes. So we have Shaman, Witch, and a bunch of spam coming out from Ashton. We have the Shaman from XGod. I assume he's saving up for a 4 eyes to go. Yeah, there's that Pocket Priestess coming in hot there for a damn. That's really big, actually. That might just save them here. That might just be a game winner.
Actually, what we didn't comment about before, except even going for the non Doomsday last wave, like that was so greedy. I think
he's got so many of these.
Dead on 14.
That's true. Ashton, I think, has a chance to hold here. A lot's going to depend on his Phoenix, I think.
Yeah, Adamis though, going for the Priestess that will not tank for sure, so he's gonna rely on all the arcane tanks he does have in the backline and just hope his Assyria is gonna do enough damage.
Is on the Phoenix and it gets sniped out. Nice, okay, that's pretty big. Let's check in on XGod. He looks like that's going to be a big leak on XGod. Meanwhile, Adams, his Priestess, dishing out the damage, but not tanking, as you say. I think it's going to be enough though.
Yeah, and Ashton's Phoenix died quite early, and this is GG.
Widderson, big leak. Adams, yeah. Adams just holding long enough, but even then, they have like way more king HP, so even if it came down to a race, I think the Banana Boys would win here.
Ashton had to hold this one. His Phoenix died too early, and this is just the 1-1, and we see game number 3.
Game number 3. Well, pretty hype, dude. we were hoping for a 3-game series, and we do have one. Banana Boys, congratulations, played this game much better, I think, in game number 2. They seem to be in control, like from start to finish, I'm going to say.
100%. You had this key wave 8 this time, where the long save from XGod didn't work out against Adamis, right? He did try with Power Mercs, he tried the mole here, but he was just not leaking him, and afterwards just hard push.
We just got that killer blow on XGod as well. And you have to say, like, a lot of it comes down to just sending a snail on one, you know? Like, it's honestly so bad for XGod to leak 75% there and having double treasure hunt. Like, he just loses so much value. The wave takes forever. The pack rats are worth less than they should be. Like, that's just such a big win for the Banana Boys already on wave 1. Like, XGod and Ashton, they have to fight uphill. And yeah, the Banana Boys just didn't give them any breathing room. Like, XGod, here we see on wave 6, he's scared off his treasure hunt, so he had both pack rats above ground while receiving only an income send. So Widderson just kind of knowing that XGod is gonna on-hunt his rats, not going for a leak. But that's a win already because XGod doesn't get any value from his rats, and he's on 3 workers at this point.
Yeah, there's like this worker play against XCrash with predicting when there's going to be treasure hunts and where you can stop him from treasure hunting was actually massive. And this way, like determining how the early game goes, right? Because as you play against somebody with rats and you do those saves on waves where you usually would send him, but you just want to deny the pack rats for later waves, you will do huge damage to his early game.
And then we just saw the massive blow there, the 360 send on 10 against XCOD, which he leaked everything apart from one brute. That was pretty huge. And XCOD just had such a rough game this time around. Like, it's not necessarily his fault. Like, it's kind of pretty tough when you get snailed on one with your Windhawk pack rat start. But yeah, like, he just had such a hard game this time around, and the Banana Boys absolutely punished him for it.
He definitely did. Like, you mentioned it all. I think in the very end, if you're getting punished with rats perfectly, you do not stand a chance, because rats are a lot more powerful if you can dictate how the early game goes. If you're the one in the driver's seat and can treasure hunt every time you want to, and you're not getting punished for it. But as you're getting punished for it more and more often, you can't treasure hunt. You're just gonna fall behind so hard because you lack those workers and you lack those consistent Mythium production.
Yeah, exactly. And a bit of a masterclass there from the Banana Boys in how to punish pack rats. Just, they didn't send every wave, they were kind of keeping XCOD under pressure so that he was too scared to hunt. And then when they did send, it was just income and king. So even though he unhunted the rats to hold, it was just a waste of value for him. And I think really, really nicely played there from Widderson and Adams. So pretty solid.
Okay, so now we had two very vanilla games, right? In the first game, everybody tried to play like a solid performance to get this first win. Now we do have the tie with the match point for each of the teams. So now it's about, do we see some action? Do we see some changes in the playstyle? For example, we have XCOD and Ashton even going for an early game send with Power Mercs together. I don't know, maybe a 7 or a 5 with Imps, whatever. Fits the builds of the opponents, or will we even see Widderson and Adamas going for a longer save? I think a 7 is quite popular for Widderson.
I think a lot of it's going to depend on what kind of spells are in the game and what the roles the players have, because if you have one of those aggressive roles, it's more appealing to go for early game aggression. And if like this, so there's Lizard Army, which I think is not the best offensive spell. Let me just hop into the game there, and we have two pretty solid spells there with the Guardian Angel, one of the best buff spells, and Investment, of course, just a solid eco spell. So I don't know, there isn't really a big Wave 11, Wave 12 kill spell. Lizard Army, arguably, but I just don't think it's the best. I think the best way to use Lizard Army is to fake it.
I don't know, I actually like Lizard Army. Obviously a lot less now since games are more towards like late game, but I used to like Lizard Army a lot, especially a lot more than Overwork.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot more versatile. You can fake it, you can play for any of the 3 waves or for even 2 of them, like an 11-13, or you could even take Lizard Army and then send 14 while your opponent's full build for this wave 13. So there's a lot of mind games around Lizard Army, which I really like, because in the very end, in a strategic game like Legion TD2, not showing your opponent what you're up to is like one of the most valuable resources you have.
Yeah, for sure. Now, everyone just zero ball gameplay once again. 4 players picking
Ashton this time, going for the rats.
Yeah, but this is a safe rat start. They can't be punished with snails this time around.
Ooh, Widderson, almost no pierce damage, only... Oh! There's a snail!
There is a snail against the Gate Guard there from Widderson. And he
But
does
he did
not
not
get
push
the God
5
aggro.
He didn't put 4 to 5 workers, which is essential for him, because as he's leaking now, he's not having enough money with 5 workers to add anything but a few buses.
Yep.
So staying on 4 workers, playing it safe, quite the right approach for him.
Yeah, because if there's a resend and he went to 5 workers, it would be pretty dangerous for him. But like this, he's just completely fine.
He is. I think the league is okay for them, especially with the Damas leading in workers once again, going for the Bone Crusher starts. And I think Bone Crusher still is one of the best openers you have in this game. It has always been, and it's probably always gonna be, because it's so versatile. You do have the other 2 upgrades just out of this one unit you build in the beginning, the Bone Warrior.
Yep.
So there's a lot of options you have.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, worth pointing out that XCOD decided to stay on 3 workers here. He is going for a steed, but he also adds the small angler as well, which I'm really not a fan of. I think if you want to play, Bounty Hunter Steed, which I mean, I'm already not a fan, let's be honest. But if you really want to play that, you only want 1 Bounty Hunter, because now you're spreading your mana between 2 units, and you just have 3 very weak units on the board, right? Because Bounty Hunter's weak, Angler's weak, Steed is weak. I just really don't like it.
Yeah, I really don't like it as well. And what I really dislike more is if you're already going first Angler, right? Then please place it on wave 1 and take those 24 stacks for free and not care about those 1 Mythium you might get faster with the worker push. This really even makes me more angry about this, because this is already a very conservative play. This is already a play you show your opponent, okay, I'm not really up to pushing a lot in the most cases, but then please take those extra stacks as well.
Exactly, dude. Exactly. We have Widderson. He's going to be completely fine here, of course, but we don't have sends from Ashton and XCOD. There is a double snail coming out, but Ashton's going to have no problem with this whatsoever.
This could be very nice tanking later on, because you will have the Sea Dragon, first of all healing either the Split or the Elite Archer, and then maybe tanking a bit from the Split on top. So I think this could be a very nice positioning for later waves. We will see on 4 probably how it will perform.
And we do have a decent send coming out now. So there's a Dino from Ashton going into a Dams. XCOD, he does go for a Fiend rather than a Brute, okay. I mean, I can see it, although the Fiend will die fairly quickly against the Fire Archer.
Well, if he's adding a snail, is that possible?
If he adds a snail, it's good, because then the Fiend's going to go into the Bounty Hunter. He just doesn't have enough workers, right?
Well, I think you can either go for the Fiend, right, or for the Dragon Turtle Snail, but I think both options are not really gonna leak or make pressure against Widderson, so I think he's just taking any of them.
Ashton did get the Snail out, which means the Dino's going to go into the Fire Archer of Verdans, which is fantastic, because that's going to die very, very quickly. He's not getting any value out of that Fire Archer. And the Dino's also good DPS against the Devilfish.
And what is really, really rough now is XCOD staying on 5 workers, right? He's building a second bounty, but now he's getting the Brute, he's leaking a bit here. It's not too bad, but
no! It's 92% on a Dams. Not only does he not kill the Dino, but he also doesn't kill this chicken that he was focusing. So that's a really big leak there. While he was on 400 value, by the way. You cannot leak 90% when you're on 400 value on wave 4. That is
such an aggressive opener, right? He had everything to pop off this game, but then this one send now throws him behind by a lot.
Yeah, that's really, really bad for a Dams, honestly. Like, he can't afford to be leaking that much when he's 400 value on wave 4. That's so big. And Ashton and XCOD now in a really solid position, I think.
Yeah, and look at the Dams' role. Like, what is this late game gonna look like? Tempest and Egg?
Yeah.
He does have a super cheap role. He has to play for the early game, right? If he's not gonna end wave 10 with a lead, with a massive lead, I think he's gonna struggle a lot in the later game. Especially with XCOD having a role like Kingpins, then you get the value in the mid game, and then you have Halo Steed. So you don't want to face that in the late game.
Absolutely, dude. Now we do have a full send here against Ashton. There's Brute Snail coming out from Widderson, and he's doing just fine.
The treasure hunting.
He even treasure hunts.
He's so disrespectful. He's just going for the treasure hunt. Like, he doesn't even give a shit. It's insane.
He's going to leak here, but it's only 2 creeps in a Brute. He's completely fine with that. Meanwhile, he pushes up to 8 workers. Ashton's on 7. Ashton goes for his income send here on 6. I really think that XCrash are in a much better position this time than they were in game number 2.
They are, especially having a look at their roles. Their roles are looking a lot stronger than the roles from, especially Adams. I think Widder does have a lot of potential. We see it here. There's 4 tier 6 units. It's super expensive.
That's such a greedy roll there from Mr. Widderson.
Yeah, but look at this. I mean, he does now have an answer for every early game wave, right? He's gonna receive the send now, so next on he's able to shift, then going for the bank on 8, should be fine there. then maybe Haven on 10, which is likely because Bank and Harbinger should be able to cover 9. So he does have a solution for all the early game, starting to the mid game with a lot of strong units to Haven mainly, and then he can go either for XX, however the game goes, or he can already start with the gates. Like, I think he does have a lot of potential for a strong late game.
Yeah, for sure. Now we see XGod obviously was super weak on wave 6 until he popped out the Halo, which is his saving grace here. And he will still leak, but it's only a Brute and a Rocco. I think pretty much anything else he's going to be leaking half the wave there with his double Bounty Hunter start.
Yes, it is. Like, it's fine, right? He maybe just go for another Steed, I guess. He could even Worker and Steed. I think I would like that a lot more. Worker and Steed.
Yeah.
He won't be able to go for 2 Steeds unless he's selling the poly and maybe sending a bit.
But he needs to start upping the stacks on those bounties, and he needs to get a big Kingpin out sooner rather than later, because he will start to fall behind again otherwise. There is a resend here from the Banana Boys, so let's see what Ashton and XGod do here. Ashton did push pretty aggressively, now on 11 workers.
Yep, there's a double Steed for Widderson. We have Ashton going very aggressive, you said it before, and he's having a lot of bad units here, right? You do have the magic damage from the Sea Dragon, you do have 200 value in Buckler. So not a lot to shine here, and there's even Brutes being sent.
It's only 1 Brute each, though. They didn't have enough to send 2. Widderson's pretty close there. He actually had 54 at the end of the wave, but the best he could manage was a Dragon Turtle. I think that's pretty good there for Ashton. He would have been in a lot of trouble versus 2 Brutes.
Now the Elite Archer not tanking enough, so the Sea Dragon is not going to heat it first. It's obviously a huge loss in effective HP. Obviously the cats can be healed, and as long as this is actually happening.
I think that's going to be a small leap there on Ashton, and if we just go back over to XGod's lane, he's actually doing fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It's so good for them. Look at this Ashton, 13 workers, and he is hoping to leak here.
And look at this to the income send, meanwhile.
He's even leaking. This is so great for them.
XGod, can he get that Brute?
Oh, yeah.
No, he can't. Unlucky man. But this is fine.
Look at this. Ashton once again doing Ashton things. I don't know how this happens, because Ashton seems to always do fine, obviously pushing aggressive, but somehow looking at him on wave like 6 or 7, he's always suddenly far ahead.
Yeah. Now there's more sends coming out, so the Banana Boys, they're not going for any early game pressure really. They just want to income scale, and they're certainly achieving that.
I think this is because of the Kingpins, right? You often get into this trap where you know that your opponent's having Kingpins and he probably won't upgrade it now, so you try to like use this few weak waves you do have in the early game, which is basically any wave where you do have a Bounty Hunter is a weak wave for you.
XGod's even going for another angler here. I'm really not a fan of that. I just want to see him get that Kingpin's power spike online so he can actually start to press the worker button.
Yeah. This is actually crazy. I don't know, like this is looking so good for XGod. For Ashton.
Yeah, Ashton, he gets another resend here. He can just push even more workers. He's not under any pressure on 9, where he was otherwise looking quite weak. And even more, Adams is leaking again to the income resend.
920 value.
That's crazy, yeah. 900 value, leaking 40% versus only income send there from Ashton. This is really solid.
But he did have a Seraphim, right? I think he should definitely swap that one for a Devilfish, because he does have enough damage with the Leviathans and the Tempest.
True.
It's still, it sucks so hard. 920 value. Yes, you don't have the best units for the wave, but you're not
He's
really
so greedy.
awful, at least. Ooh.
Would you please just make the Kingpin? Can you stop being the greediest man alive?
I mean, it's full stack right now. That there's no reason why you should now not go for the Kingpin unless you want to reduce the shutdown, right? It's actually the only reason to not go for the Kingpin here is to stay on lower shutdown.
Yeah. This is so now he does get a resend as well from Adams. XGod can finally press the worker button.
Oh! Look at this! Ashton sending a Brute.
Oh wow! He must have slipped.
Yeah. Once again, misclicking. He wanted to hit the third Dragon Turtle, and then oops.
But Adams smelled it coming. He actually hardened a Mudman here on wave 9.
Yeah, because he's so bad on the wave and he's still leaking, even though he hardened. And this is not going to help him out in 10, right?
True.
Ashton, 18 workers. He's just not stopping, right? He's getting income sense all the time while having a really good roll. Adam is still not having a great roll. I don't know if he rerolled or not.
Adams will hold this,
just
though.
Free, pushing.
Adams is holding.
This is the first game. Sorry, what? Adams reroll?
No, Adams is holding here. But meanwhile, XCOD has a very dangerous amount of Mythium saved up, nearly at 280 here. Yeah. There's the Ghost Knight.
And that's exactly what I just wanted to say. We had the first 2 games, XCOD twice being behind while Ashton being really fat. But this time, even XCOD is really solid in the game, like even strong, you can say. And hey, Ashton's just miles ahead, right?
Yeah, Ashton is doing incredibly well this game. 18 workers on wave 10. His income is just miles ahead of all the other players in the game. And there might even be big leaks coming out here from Widderson and Adams. Widderson going for a second bunk.
Sort of damage. No chance. He had to shift for the Haven for this wave. There's no chance to hold like this. Without the Haven, he won't hold. I mean, he does have a backline day. Fine. There's no chance.
He's going to leak really big here on Mr. Widderson. I think he'll count himself lucky if he kills that Ghost Knight, but I'm not sure that he will.
Oh, I think he will. There's still the Asaria living right in the bank.
Yeah, he just gets it there with the split tanking on the Avenger and the Harbinger, but this is still a massive leak there. The boss is over half HP and the Hermit, 75% there for Widderson. Adams did hold his send, but he's not going to kill anything in the mid. This will be some decent king damage.
We mentioned before, Widder's roll is extremely expensive, right? And if you then are in a position to undercut his natural OP early game that I mentioned before, right? Going for the bunk on 8, then shifting on 9 for the Haven on 10, which is a very strong like following on units, right? If you get this out, the bunk on 8, perfect. You have this power spike, you can push some, shift some, boom, Haven on 10, and then you're basically strong on 10 and 11 and 12. So you have this long period of waves where you're just really OP, but as you are not able to follow these steps, you're just sitting in a situation like we had Widderson now, being behind, leaking wave 10, and not being amazing on future waves.
And Ashton, if you just look at the power scores there, he is absolutely miles ahead in this game now. He's 400 power score ahead of both of the Banana Boys. He's on fire. The only reason his shutdown isn't bigger, I think, is because XCOD is behind.
But XCOD just upgraded the second Kingpin, so next wave XCOD should be in shutdown as well.
Exactly. XCOD is just coming into his power spike here. It's not like the previous game where he was behind without really any like big power spike coming up. He has that Kingpin value kicking in, and he's now going to be able to push hard as soon as the next send comes.
Yes, 100% agreed. XCOD even rerolled already, getting the Rangers, even more late game power for him. The only thing I don't like is him swapping for the Banana Bunk. He did have flowers in his role, which are the perfect add, especially for 16, where his build is weak, and afterwards, after 16, he's OP anyway. Now swapping away the flowers, I think the flowers are going to help you for this one specific wave, which is 16, and then afterwards you just don't care anymore because you have Halo, Steed, and Ranger, right? But I would have kept the flowers, personally.
But both Banana Boys going for an egg there on wave 11, and there is a send coming out here on wave 12.
No, the debuff. Somebody didn't calculate the values correctly. Lifebinder is not a unit you should place next to an alpha male.
But can the Banana Boys hold here? We do have a Sovereign upgrade there for Widderson. With Guardian Angel, by the way.
Okay, so there's a question.
And a
Don't you
on
rather go for the Haven here, because you can still go for the Sovereign next wave? Like, is Sovereign with GA better than the Haven?
I mean, Sovereign with J is pretty insane. We'll see now when it comes back to life, because it gets all of the health from that mana, so it's going to respawn, and it's already at 3.5k instead of the 1500 that GA normally respawns with.
Makes sense.
But
he's still gonna lose his exec, he's not quite holding.
Oh, he actually leaks himself. I thought Widderson would at least hold his own lane there and then lose his egg versus a Dam's leak. But no, he's also leaking himself.
This 240 cent would be a hold with a Haven.
Yeah, for sure.
I assume.
100% it would be, yeah. But
So
I can respect him going for the Sovereign as well. Meanwhile, though, the Banana Boys, look at this Mythium they have saved up. So sure, they leak here, they lose their eggs, but their counterplay is coming up soon, and it's going to be big.
it's like it is a counterplay, right? But it's kind of their last chance, right? This next all-in send has to work out, either giving them a lot of gold or even being the lethal send of this game, because we do have Ashton with this amazing scaling, right? He has doubled the income of Widderson, almost doubling the one of Adams as well. He does have strong roll. XCrash is having a insane crazy scaling roll for the late game. So as it's not gonna be finished, the next send, which is maybe 14, might have been the goal, maybe 15 now, with Aviator showing, XCrash showing the Avenger. If that's not lethal, that's it.
I have to say though, Ashton, he's looking pretty damn weak on 14, right? Like, sure, he has one Trinity Archer, but all of his other units are just garbage on 14. He's got so much natural HP. He's even got the double upgraded Lifebinder there, which is terrible on 14.
But the thing is, you don't care, right? You could now just income King. XCrash is having the Avenger on 14 together with Steeds. You do have 2 Kingpins on XCrash, almost full stacked. So
here
just income King, you survive and you win, right?
Here come the sends from the Banana Boys, and the XCrash, they know it's coming, they go for the send of their own. XCrash actually going for a full send while Ashton takes his income as normal. We'll have to see if it's going to be enough for him to hold here.
I'm actually unsure if 14 is a better send than 15. I mean, I can see, especially with the Lifebinder, right? You do want the Lifebinder to...
I think against Ashton it's better. Against Ashton it's better, but like you say, XCrash is just so strong on wave 14 with the Sovereign upgraded, with the GA Kingpin, with the Steeds as well to throw mana into the Sovereign. I think XCrash is just looking really strong here. Ashton might leak. Yeah. And the sends are huge. There's 700 against XCrash, there's 680 against Ashton. I expect the Banana Boys to be just fine here. But let's keep an eye on Ashton and XCrash, because this is pretty important now, whether or not they're able to hold.
Oh, we have the Lifebinders not getting... Oh, now there's a target with the Lioness coming back from the GA, but Ashton, he is doing okay, I guess. Actually, there's a lot of low targets. So it's fine.
And he is on shutdown, so that's 100 gold there. The Banana Boys.
But who cares? Look at XCrash, right?
XCrash leaks
a little bit.
No, he just leaks the 4 eyes on 2% there.
Yeah, but let's be honest, right? This is definitely not as much as they needed, the Banana Boys.
No.
We have Ashton being so far ahead.
They wanted to get some serious damage in here.
He's 100 ahead in income of Widderson. He does have 800 more value. Like, XCrash with the OP roll. How do you turn this?
I feel like this is pretty tough now for the Banana Boys. They're going to have to pull out something quite special, I think, if they want to win this game. Whereas Ashton, with his insane value, with his insane income, like you say, he's just in a really solid position.
And now, especially Egg from Adamus, right? What is this mission with the X-Egg? Because you can't win a 20 race. There's no chance, because you won't league XCrash. There's no chance of killing XCrash in 20, right? So
neither of them have a unit to kill wave 20, right? Yeah.
Like, you basically have to finish like 19. I think 19 is like the last chance you could actually do something, because 18 the haters are just too strong, 17 is too close, not enough send, I assume. And there's the Kingpins, and they're still quite strong on 17 with the Sex. What are you going for?
I don't know, man. And even on 19, I think XCrash can be really strong, because he's going to have 3 Kingpins, all with like pretty much full mana. He even has that Haven in his role, which the Banana Boys don't know about yet. But if they want to go for a 19 win, I think they might be frustrated when they see XCrash pulling out the Haven. And look at this, Ashton, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 rats. So on top of him having 20 workers, he doesn't need to. He already has like this tied with the first place workers on Widderson, and he also has 10 rats on top, so that's another 110 Mythium every wave on top of what Widderson is generating.
What Ashton did is just so clever. He did not push a single worker after this massive send on 18, and now just hitting the double workers, he pushed from 18 to 20 worker, investing 50 gold. While that, he just built a lot of rats, and he is now able to just treasure hunt them every time. He knows that they're not in danger of dying, and then when the time comes where he thinks, okay, maybe they're going to have their big attack now, we need every support we can get, he's just taking the extra 500 value and just easy holding.
Yeah, true. And when do you think they want to send? I think wave 18 could be a really good call against Widderson and Adams. I don't really see them having much chance to hold there.
Well, to be honest, they could even just go for full income king. Unless there's the undercut on 19, there's no chance, because XCrash is always holding. Adams has no chance for the late game at all, so... and Widderson is not having the best scaling as well, right? Just get this after 19 and you win.
True. And Ashton, he knows the send's not coming on 17, so he goes for another 10 rat hunt there.
This is so crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, look, with the Ashton now having more Mythium than Widderson and Adamas that actually have to go for this massive attack, like they could really go for this 18 cent. You named it, especially Adamas looking awful there.
Oh, Adams even hardens here.
Oh no! They have to mirror now, right? They have to send 18 now because Adams is so weak, just to stand the chance to survive.
Yeah. I feel like
Ashton could basically income.
I feel like this is over. Like Ashton and XCrash, they can just easily win on 18. Adams just has no chance to hold.
Yeah. Well, they can either try to win like they do with Ashton going for the Shaman and Ram, but Ashton could even send 8 Cannoneers.
Yeah.
Likely would league Adamas and then would just scale so hard for the later waves. There's not a lot of waves to come, but he's going to be amazing on those.
But Ashton's going to be like overvalue as well. All he needs to do is not treasure hunt his rats, and his value is going to be off the charts.
Yeah, he does have the gate with the life binders, so he basically has a chance to get unlimited summons.
True.
That's fine. What do you need? What else do you need? He does have the 2 Lioness that can profit from the life bind, a lot of effective HP they would get. And I mean, XCrash, he does have the double Arc of Justice with, what is this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 Pegasus, 2 Steeds, 3 Dark Mages.
And around 1 million Bone Warriors as well, just to tank the way. But the Centaur is coming out from Adams. But I just think that XCrash and Ashton are just too strong here. Look at this. Ashton is 175 overvalue. All he needs to do is not send those rats underground. And I just think Adams has absolutely no chance to hold. He even suicide pushed, actually. He knew that he had no chance after hardening those golems on 17. So he went for the full push. But I think it's not going to be enough. I think the Banana Boys are going to end up dying here.
Look at Ashton. The wave is just melting. He does still have thousands of value over. XCrash actually. Oh no, he's holding as well. Maybe just not holding, even though he had a very strong roll for the wave.
Ashton's holding very, very easily. Actually, Widderson does hold, but is it going to be enough? Because this is a big leak from Adams there.
Even if it's enough. Is the GA still there?
It's not going to be enough, right? No. They have no king upgrades. This is game over.
Yeah.
XCrash and Ashton defeating the Banana Boys here in the semi-finals.
Yeah, and I think they had a really good performance, right? Even in the game they lost, they did a quite well performance up until this wave 8, where they kind of blundered their biggest send in the early game.
Yeah, let's just have a quick look at that wave 8. So we'll scroll back through the waves there. Wave 8.
Oh, no, it was last game. Last game,
yeah. So even in this game, I thought you were talking about the income sends, because Ashton was just leaking Adams every wave with income. Like, he sends Cannoneer, Dragon Turtle on 7, that's a leak. He sends Dragon Turtles on 8, that's a leak. He doesn't get him on 9, but he just keeps sending that income every single wave. And Ashton is so far ahead in workers, in income, by the time wave 11 comes around. Gets another big leak on 12, breaking both of the eggs of the Banana Boys. And then obviously he's able to like near enough hold against the 680 send on wave 14. Same with XCrash against the 700 send, and the game's just over at that point. There's pretty much no coming back at it once they're able to like survive that massive all-in play. Yeah.
I mean, all those income sends just enabled Ashton, right? If you want one thing, you don't want an enabled Ashton Butcher, because his role can be of super low synergy, but somehow he's still going to pop off with this insane income snowballing, and then
Yeah.
She's just miles ahead, and even though if you have no synergy in your role, just value can be enough in certain situations.
And he was getting so much value out of those rats as well. Wave 15, 10 treasure hunts. Wave 16, 10 treasure hunts. Wave 17, 10 treasure hunts. Wave 18, rats above ground, easily holding the center.
This play is executed perfectly, right?
Yeah.
You see it here. Wave 14, actually, he has less value in 15 than he does have in 14 because he had two reds. He was specialing then, but this is just perfect. He's not pushing a single worker, right? This is the time to not be greedy. There's those trigger compilations from Counter-Strike where people are sneaking behind others to get the second kill out of it. And this is exactly a comparison to this, right? Be patient, this one wave, right? Don't push, but get those reds. You will lose like 30 seconds of Mythium production, but you keep calm, you take those reds for 3 consecutive waves, and then you just take the value when you need it.
It was just an easy hold for him there on wave 18. I think that was extremely well played there by Ashton. And XCOD, of course, played his part as well, enabling Ashton super hard throughout the game. And this was just really well played. So yeah, the Banana Boys are out in the semi-finals, and XCrash will advance into today's grand finals.